To calculate the due date of when we're going to have the baby, we reference the first day of the last menstrual period. So that gives us a mean duration of pregnancy of 10 lunar months. Lunar month is 28 days, that's 280 days or 40 weeks. Gestation is calculated from the time of ovulation and lasts 266 days, and that's 14 days less. When the infant is ready to be born, it lies with his body bent forward, his arms crossed and his legs crossed, and the head is presenting downward, inferior, and that's the preferred presentation. That's a cephalic presentation right here. Not so fortunate is a breech presentation. It's harder to deal with when any other body part is facing the pelvic inlet here. The descent of the fetus, the entry into the pelvic inlet, occurs towards the end of pregnancy in the first time moms or at the beginning of labor in multiple birth moms. Primiparois, first time, multiparois, more than one. During the birth we have a dilation stage, and that's when the soft tissues widen and dilate, and as soon as they're fully dilated we have an expulsion stage, and that's when the uterus contracts rhythmically and shortens due to musculature while the woman bears down and contracts the abdominal muscles. That's why laying in bed is actually not that great of a place. You want to bear down, so at least you want to have the bed bent forward or squatting. A lot of people like squatting because it's really a preferred position for that. When the head comes down, what's interesting is the pelvic inlet is oval shaped from side to side transversely, and at the outlet we have a oval spacing from A to P, front to back. And so the head has to turn 90 degrees first when it comes in, and then has to turn again as it wants to enter the birth canal. And then that's when we see the head, and that's called crowning. And then from there, one shoulder comes out, and then the other shoulder glides out, and then the baby glides out all together. So the head's the biggest stage, the biggest part. And then once the baby is expelled, so to speak, the placenta is born during the placental stage. And the cord is cut once the delivery is complete. This then leads to an oxygen problem, or a carbon dioxide enrichment, because the baby uses oxygen and now it doesn't get it from the mom. And so the enrichment of oxygen in the blood triggers the activation in the respiratory centers, initiating that first inhale and that first uncomfortable feeling, that cry. Then that comes. Well, it's not the first uncomfortable feeling, but it's certainly a desperate one. And then the fetal circulation changes over to this, its baby's own pulmonary circulation, and the heart pumps then the blood to the lungs and to the system at that point. And the place in the heart, the fovea centralis, which is between the atria of the heart, closes up pretty rapidly, and the heart has two parts then to it. And when the baby is born, we have stages that we describe, postnatal development in broad terms. We have neonatal, birth to 1 month, infancy to about 2 years, childhood to puberty, which is about 12 to mid-teens, and then that's puberty to the mid-20s, which is the period of adolescence. The body grows most rapidly early in life. At the end of the second year, we reach about 50% of our definite length. So that's pretty big. And then we have a second growth spurt in the puberty, and that is about 2 years earlier in the girls than the boys, making them generally a little taller as teens. And then further growth natally, we have different body parts grow different rates. We have the head, for example, is 1/4 of the body length at birth, but only 1/8 in adults. So the neural development is really happening early on, coordinating everything and all the other functions. And the growth of the extremities go more rapidly, and that then shifts the baby's center of gravity is by the belly button, and as we are adults, it shifts to the pubic bone. And in development, often we look at skeletal development to sort of see what body height does, and also for looking for growth disorders. And we could do that through X-rays, because what we could do is we could see these ossifications, these growth center areas, and when do they close up. That gives us ideas of how much more growth is happening. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you very much for paying attention. I hope it wasn't too boring and you learned something.